Welcome to Dayah, small part of community. We say community as well as education institution, and also they have heritage of literature. And then we are going to focus on Maturidi Kalam. That means we are going to speak what is our argument, what is my argument based on my research on the historical development of Maturidi Kalam in Aceh or in Southeast Asia in general. So let me start for the first point here. Southeast Asia Islamization and Aceh or Dayah. This is the map as we know, and maybe you know where is Aceh. Aceh is here, but the language is still local language here. Aceh, very small part, but when we consider history, because at the time we have no flight, we have no, so everything we need on ocean, on travel by ocean. So the first thing they found in the past is Aceh, so that there developed the Center for Islamic Studies and the Center for Islamization of Southeast Asia. So this more very short introduction. This is my text. This means I said that because this is on the first part for every part of the world come and sit and being together there and make to be like melting pots. So every part of Islam, every part of Muslim, every part of teaching of Islam like Ibn Kalam, Sufi, everything there. And then in there, Dayah was responsible to develop it, to spread it all over Southeast Asia. And the first kingdom of Islam was Sultan Samudra Pasir Sultan. This is the first community of Islam. It was about 12th and 13th century before. So this sultanate was the first of Islam sultan or kingdom for spreading Islam in Southeast Asia. In Arabic word we say that Aqsa Islam. And many people in local people that say that Rasulullah commanded Sahabat to come to Aqsa Islam, to spread Islam. And the first king of this kingdom was the one that Rasulullah has already tadabbuk bih. So that is the what do you say, hotel by Sahaba during Uthman bin Affan. And this is the first kingdom. Here the tomb, maybe the light is not very. Here the word La ilaha illallah in here, the tomb for Malik Saleh, it said that very sophisticated word. Innama dunya fana, laysa lid dunya sabut. Innama dunya kabaitin, nasajadu alang kabut. Wa lil umri qalil kullu man fiha yamut. This is the kalimat, the word that make why Islam was successfully spread it in the place, because people just throw away dunya and take akhirah. So they, and then this is the people from Malik Saleh himself from Yaman, Abdurrahmi, and Layla Usamuddin from Persia, that time Shiraz, not Persia in terms of Shia at that time, mostly not very Shia, not ideology of Shia, Shirazi. And here from Abbasi, Baghdad, the same here. Sayyid, this is the descendant of the king of Baghdad. People say like this because he written here. Again, when we try to read here, written his name, his descendant, and where he was origin, it already told that. So this like philology story of Islam in Southeast Asia. And how the relationship between global world of Islam and local world in Aceh. We said in our own literature we have, because we have a lot of literature on Kalam, on everything, but on history we say our country like the country below the wind, the bawah angin. And Arab took Rome, we call it Rome. And Jordan, we call also Rome, yeah, Jordan, Syria, Rome, and Arab only Saudi Arabia and around, and Persia we say Parsi, the country above the wind. So relation because we try to what to simplify by wind because our country is very a lot of wind, and that is the way people do that. And now we start to Dayah community. This is the people of Dayah. Maybe here I don't know how to connect to the school here, but in my country we say that traditional Islamic education, because we have also like secular system of education, which was introduced by the Dutch, by Western community, Western colonization. But this one is really the school which was existed in Aceh before, in the earlier time of Islam. And why Aceh is important? Because Aceh was the channel. When we talk about atomic history, there are channel jump from the point, but here US point, Dayah is the channel for accepting Islam, transmitting it to all of Southeast Asia. And again, why this is important? Also, the first book of Ilmu Kalam in Dayah, as was argued by Brunnerson, was Ilmu Kalam based on Maturidi. And people said there's Asmara Kandi, because the book Ilmu Kalam was authored by Abu Lays Samarkandi. So in our language we say Asmara Kandi. And the book we call it Usul Anambis, because the book was structured into 6 chapters. So that is the relationship. And also Dayah also have development. The earlier Dayah, now we call like informal system of education, and the later Dayah system, which mostly developed, influenced by Al-Azhar Sharif and by people from Iraq, like Sufistic, we call it informal system. So different, this type for informal one for common people, formal one for ulama. Just when they're going to graduate from that to being ulama. And ulama have a great position in Chinese history, in Southeast Asia as well. This is the very short introduction of video. And what is our curriculum there? The curriculum in Dayah, only 3 focus. Also we have instrumental subject we call ilmu alat, like nahu, sarah, everything is ilmu instrumental. But the core curriculum for us only 3: aqidah, we call ilmu kalam. Second one fiqh, and the last one is tasawwuf. That is the character of curriculum. And this is the book. Here we have, this is the basic one. The secondary is the highest level. This the Hashiyah Dusuki will read by the student who have been in Dayah for 4 years, on 4, 6, and 7 years. So in Hashiyah Dusuki we can find Maturidi Kalam and discussion, very deep discussion. But for Kifayatul Awam, Shaqawi, this book is only the introduction. But if you said, who written this book? This book was authored by Maliki, by people from Maliki, from Morocco, Maghribi. And the Sharah from Hudi from Mas, and I don't know, Shaqawi from, I mean that even very local, but people, the book was all from all over the world. Not only because we are local, we read local thing. This is the informal subject. We have Masail al-Muqtadi. This is written in Arabic Jawi text. Jamu Jawami. This is book authored by Masail al-Muqtadi, authored by Rumi, by Turk, but has become Chinese people. Stay there, married there, and have children. Jamu Jawami, read by local people. And Sifatu 20, say this when we call about Sifa, Sifat 20. Akidul Al-Najid by Al-Fatani, from Fatani. And Sifa Hada, this one, also written by local ulama. And this is a very big, short description of the book, how they write the book to make it understandable. Because when we try to speak about Sifa, Kalam still to speak it very deep and very abstract, so common people cannot understand that. So why local people try to approach it to be understandable for common people, so that they make it like using chart, using fan, something like that, fan diagram, and using like everything like that, and very wonderful. And now this is the essence, that is the poem that I'm going to present. What is my argument when I have already done research on that? And I found that there are 3 points which undermine the influence of, which underlie the influence of Maturidi Kalam for Southeast Asian Muslim. The first one refers to political consensus. Maybe we can correct this one, even though it's not okay to say political one, because I found it on my individual understanding. And second one from Maturidi Ulama. And the last one from network, International Network of Maturidi. Now let me start with the first one, consensus, political consensus. I divide into 2 consensus. First one is local consensus, second one global consensus. Now we start with global consensus. So the term Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah is really very important and central for Muslims in Southeast Asia. Because when anyone tell you are not Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that doesn't mean that you are not Muslim anymore. And in some cases you are going to be vanished, you are going to be rejected, or maybe going to be something like violent, kill, something like that. Because that I refer to this like political consensus. And global consensus started from during the era of Islamic Sultanate, Seljuki or Ottoman Empire, Ottoman Sultanate, and Ayyubiyah, like during Al-Salah, because earlier time of Ottoman Empire, there were also the problem Nikash or Didalat between Maturidi and Ash'ari, and some Ash'ari tell to Maturidi they are dual, like being straight, and the other one claim that others kafir, something like that. But during Al-Salah, Nizul Muluk try to cooperate, try to combine, unity to make them one under the banner of Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And the ulama agency who do that, I found that Tajuddin As-Subki had done very great and massive work how to cooperate to unity between Maturidiyah and Ash'ariyah. And they use the term إذا أطلق على السنة والجماعة فالمراد به الأشاعرة والماتريدية. So until now, when you ask people, who are you? I am Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. What are you Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah? They don't understand. They talk like that. The friend, when do you think that Maturidiyah Al-Sunnah? Yes. So what the difference between Maturidiyah and Ash'ariyah? I don't know. Even what they do, they are doing like Maturidiyah. So this is the case. And now local consensus. This is a very interesting one. I'm going to do further research on this, because during Aceh Darussalam we have Kanon. Kanon is like constituent, like what we say, just like the principle of life, like the system of society. Not only because now we refer to Kanon, refer to law. There is something like issued by legislature, but it's not the case in Aceh. We have very constituent which is based on Kanun Mukuta Alam. This Kanun Mukuta Alam, I found that has great influence by Maturidi Nadaratul Ma'rifah. Why? First of all, in this book, they try to divide the law into 2 categories. The first one they tell is like Shari, second one is like non-Shari, is based on Aqli, and they divide it into 3 called Ada, Uruf, and Rusam local language. And all of this they say this is Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So they don't try to say this belong to Ash'ari, belong to no. This Ahlus-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. When we say Ahlus-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, it means that both Ash'ari and Maturidi are one. There is no difference. And you can say this category when we refer to hukum, it refers to Shari, to Quran and Hadith, Wahyu. When we refer to Adat, Hisab and Kanun, refer to rationality, Aqli. And then how they define the authority of the Sultan in Aceh. The first one, Shari. Shari can become Hukum Shari, Adah Shari, AS, Adah Shari, Kanun Shari, Nusam Shari. So when we call Wahyu Shari, this is under the authority of ulama. So ulama have authority. His authority is belong to four categories. It refers to hukum, adah, kanun, nusam, but only on the scope of religious issue like ibadah, like related to fiqh, to like doing aqidah, tawhid. This refers to ulama, ibadah, tawhid. But when we talk to adah, like sultan, it refers to nafsi, adah, hukum nafsi. That nafsi belong to sultan. And daruri, hukum daruri, adah daruri, belong to army, to people who have gun, because when we kill, we said daruri means tawari, emergency. So when people country under attack, so the authority not belong to anymore to king, but to askari. And kanun belong to woman. Woman has their position. So women have authority to govern their space, and women give the space in family. We call in Aceh woman who own the house. When I married a woman, I go to the house, I have the house, but that also belong to me, belong to woman. When I try to be separated by woman, I have to go away only by what I have in my body. I can't take anything else, and everything belong to woman. So where the space for men in Manasa? Manasa is place like masjid. We have stay there, we have place to sleep there, so we have to develop kind of manly life, not womanly life. So everything have space and authority. And then when I analyze it, I think that is mostly based on Maturidiyah, not on Ash'ariyah. But I think we can discuss it later because my research is not very deep, still very surface research and very preliminary research. And this is the category. I think I didn't not tell anymore. And also here, when we refer to the whole, because Aceh also was take control on Malay or control on some part of Indonesia, when they try to say hukum bil ma'ruf uruf, they should be applied to all the place like this. This is the authority of Akram, very great here. And people say that Aceh was very democracy, but not the kind of democracy like Aristotle said. And I think this is consensus. This is also ulama also in Aceh right now say anyone in Aceh should be Ahlus-Sunnah wal Jama'ah, not anymore. Like for example, Wahhabi is banned in my country. And now start to Maturidi ulama and very this like very deep, a little bit shwaya. This is concerning about Nazatul Ma'rifah. I think that he is a Maturidi follower because of three reasons. The first one is because Maturidi is came from origin from India, Gujarat, Surat. India was the place of Maturidi in Kalam, and he also wrote the book of Nasafi, Sharh Nasafi, and he also refute sophistic like mysticism based on pantheism, in particular of Ibn Arabi Sufi. And at that time the debate very great, and finally by concluded by killing Ibn Hamzah Fansuri followers, because they said that they are murtad, something like astray. And second one, Baba Dawood, so come from Turkey, descendant, and he wrote the term Awaluddin Ma'rifatullah. And the term Awaluddin Ma'rifatullah is when I check the content of Ilmu Kalam in informal Dayah and formal Dayah, I had not found the other book only here from Baba Dawood and also from Dhuhri. When we try to understand what it does mean by Awaluddin Ma'rifatullah, Ma'rifatullah, when because the book of Baba Dawood very short word, and Dhuhri has wrote on it more than 100 word, 100 page. And he said that Ma'rifatullah means that to know Allah, to know Sifatullah like Ma'rifah and Wahdaniyatullah, Ma'rifah and Ta'zim, Ma'rifah and Sifatullah, six character of Allah, six attributes of Allah, but not based on the text. And when we know something that we say that knowing mujmali and in general, but when we know in detail, tafsiri, we say ilmullah. Fa'alam annahu la ilaha illallah. Fa'alam yani ilmullah. رفع الذين آمنوا والذين أوتوا العلم درجات. So ilmu huwa darajat. So mean know by ilmi, you mean higher. And we said what that is mean by ilmi, knowing by wahyu and so knowing by logic, like takalibin. And this is Lakani. The book Lakani is he's Egyptian but influenced by Maturidi a lot by his thought. And this book also printed, read it in Dayah, and also translated into local language, Aceh language. And the last one, how many? 1 minute, 4 minutes, okay. This is the last argument I will say that Dayah network. When we call Dayah network, it is called, Dayah is like local language, we call Dayah, but this is derived from Arabic language, this is Zawiyah. Zawiyah, it refers to the tradition of Rasulullah SAW when he taught the Sahaba by sitting on the pole, and the Sahaba sit around here, semicircle. So this tradition called Zawiyah, and practiced by Abu Hurairah, and then by Sufi, and then this tradition transferred to Aceh, and we call it Dayah. And even in Tanah Abang, it is Zawiyah, very close to Arabic language. And this tradition of Dayah is not belong to local, I think, and belong to all over the world. But many Dayah, that is amazingly, from the place where Maturidi developed and studied, and like Baghdad and like Iraq, and also like in Turk. So, for example, I give you example here, Dayah Tanah Abang and Dayah Awigita. And the second influence of Dayah, also book of Dayah, most of Dayah I showed you before, written based on the structure of Maturidi books. I mean Maturidi book refer to Al-Kitab al-Tawheed, or refer to Al-Aqa'id al-Nasafiyah. Every kitab of this starting by the theory of knowledge. And the other kitab will refer to Al-Iqtisad fi al-Aqiqat, Al-Jabul Awam fi Ilm al-Kalam, for example, Al-Maqala Islamiyin, Al-Ulumah belong to Ash'ariyah. The theory of knowledge is not very, have little concern compared to this one. And Dayah community say that Muqaddimat Ilm al-Tawheed huwa Mantek, it belong to Ash'ariyah, I think. But when we refer to Mantek, mostly to refer to the Nazariyatul Ma'rifah belong to Maturidiyah. But it's still my hypothesis. I have not evidence very close. I hope everyone here, expert and people who know better than me, I think they're going to give me some feedback to help me to struggle my problem to understand Maturidi Kalam among Ash'ariyah followers in Southeast Asia. And thank you for my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Dhuhri, for your fascinating topic. We'll go over for questions now. We'll give the mic to Dr. Raj.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulullah. Thank you very much, Professor. You mentioned this yesterday, and then again you concluded with it regarding the epistemology being very important for the Maturidiyah, and being a very important part of the prolegomena of the introductions to the manuals of Kalam. I just, I mean, it's a nice point, and I think it's worthy of consideration, but it's very important to remember that from the very beginning of Ilm Kalam with the Mu'tazila, the epistemological introductions were there throughout all of the schools. And Qadi Abdul Jabbar, for example, has massive volumes on epistemology. And most of the Mu'tazili books begin with epistemology. The Maturidi books, yes, you are right, they begin with epistemological introductions, but so do the Ash'ari works from الجويني إمام الحرمين to الإمام الغزالي باقلاني Ibn Furak, they all have باقلاني the Insaf and the Tamheed.
Yes.
And you have to also bear in mind that some of the epistemological introductions were kept as part of Kalam manuals, but some of them became part of Usul al-Fiqh.
Yes.
Especially the chapters on Dilala in particular are extremely important. And by the way, they are massively rich in terms of what can be called semiotics of Islam. You know, and it's a kind of a unique logic, as Professor Sami Nashar pointed out long ago in some of his books. This is so I just caution, don't distinguish between the Maturidis and the Ash'aris on the one being epistemologically oriented and the other not. And this is also in the late Ash'arism as well, in the manuals of Sanusi, even in Al-Yusi, it's all there. So this is one. The second thing is you need to notice also that for various intellectual but also political reasons, there has been a very long how can I say, a synthesis that took a long time to develop, but was very well established until the advent of European powers and colonization, which was the kind of reconciliation of Ash'arism with Maturidism. And the evidence for this is Al-Azhar al-Sharif's curricula for Kalam, usually very easily moved between the two. And this begins with the commentaries on Nasafi, especially Taftazan, which actually becomes a very broad tradition that incorporates all the insights of the Maturidis and the Ash'aris. And yes, the Hanafis remained Maturidis, and the Shafi'is and the Malikis remained Ash'aris, but there was a common ground between them. And I think what you are witnessing in Indonesia and Malaysia, the late Kalam that developed there already included that synthesis. So what you are noticing with the Maturidi trends, yes, there are, but notice also that they are also Ash'ari, and very strongly so. So Laqani is Ash'ari, all the books that you mentioned, even the books of Mantiq, like Sulam Murawnak, which you had on your screen, is written by Al-Akhdari, who's a Maliki Ash'ari. So by late times, this synthesis was quite well developed, and it included very heavy dosage of philosophy as well, and logic, from the time of the Shamsiyya and the various other works, and it also included the insights of the Akbari tradition with Sheikh Muhyiddin ibn Arabi. So when you have Raniri and Fansuri, and you already have this very complex synthesis. And this, by the way, did not happen only in the Sunni world, it happened to the Shi'is as well. So by the time you get to Mullah Sadra, you have a synthesis between the Falasifa, you have the Akbari tradition, you have, so it's very important, very, very important, as we find elements that we identify as Maturidi and so on, that we recognize that our ancestors actually went overboard to try to synthesize all the goodness that they found. Something that we contemporaries need to learn from, because we tend to be partisan, you know? So we need to make sure that we use all these resources and speak to our time today, because these people were great because they spoke to their time, you know? We need to speak to our time. So sorry for taking so long, but it was by way of commentary also on what you mentioned yesterday. So thank you very much, and I really feel honored that you are here with us, and that that part of the Muslim world is represented. I have a simple exercise which I do with my Arab students sometimes. I say, what is the percentage of Arabs amongst the Muslims? And you get things like 50%, 60%. I tell them, no, you're less than 10%. You know, there are more Indonesians than Arabs. You know,
Yes, yes.
and I am very happy that you are here with us and representing that very rich part of our world.
Thank you very much. Shall I comment?
If you want to comment, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much for your comment. It's really grateful, and I do understand that it's really useful for my research, my understanding. But why I refer to the difference between both? First of all, because we Indonesia have different case to might be a lot bit similar to other secular states. In Indonesia, we face like neo-Mu'tazilism, and because when many Indonesian students came to Canada to study in steel and some part like this, and they adopt neo-Mu'tazila teaching of Kalam, and then they come back to Indonesia and they said, what Ash'ariyah? Ash'ariyah is nothing. Ash'ariyah is something like, very difficult, and they base their Kalam on Qudra when they try to define Allah based on the powerful, and then this adopted by government, and government can do like what Allah do by istibda'iyah, like orthodox, like monarchy, something like that. And people like me, traditionalism, like, because I agree with others, try to define, and we try to show them that even Ash'ariyah has already 40 years being like Mu'tazila, but we still have our own, not belong to Mu'tazila. What is it try to say that Mu'tazila is, when, all right, Mu'tazila has their influence, their role to develop Kalam, but we have their own way to Nazarul Ma'rifah, so that's why to look what the legacy of Maturidi on Nazarul Ma'rifah is the first. And second one, even many Dayah people right now, Pasantren, they tend to be Maturidi based on free will, because we have very great attack by the libertarian, something like say that like individualism, something like that, and we try to to take a little bit from Ash'ariyah and not to go outside by the book of Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah and take Maturidiyah instead. So that's why I put it here, not to open our historical want, our jarah al-kadima, ولكن فقط يعني شوية أنا أعطي نحن traditionalists, we have our own legacy, our own tradition. That only that one. Thank you very much. Really good for really. Thank you.
You have a microphone?
If there are other people,
Just you can continue.
This is a very important point you make. And the neo-Mu'tazilism of Indonesia is worthy of study. And it's actually a very interesting phenomenon. It has more to do with the advent of the school of Jamaluddin al-Afghani and Muhammad Abdu, and the Orientalist obsession with these figures, at the cost of traditionalist figures of Al-Azhar like Sheikh al-Attar, for example, and his school. There is a glorification of these figures, and as on the contention that they are more rational somehow and that they are more modern, at the cost of our traditional line. And the claim that Ash'arism is somehow less rational than Mu'tazilism is an absolutely false claim. You know, the introductions of the Sanusi school, for example, of Muhammad bin Yusuf al-Sanusi, al-Barahin, and its commentaries, and the Sanusi al-Kubra and Sughra al-Wusta and everything, and the logical works of the school are really as advanced as modern logic in many areas. For example, on wujub and istihala and jawaz, what they write is a very advanced logic. Okay, so, and the notion that the Mu'tazilis were like very benign, rational beings who were very tolerant is immediately refuted by the fact that they broke the arm of Ahmed bin Hanbal and almost killed him. So they were not exactly less tyrannical than the Ash'arites. But some people like to think that there were these Abbasid period liberals, and that these are the Mu'tazilites, And we need to not think Because some people think that, you know, if you can't be a Mu'tazili and you want to be a Sunnah Jama'ah, maybe you can be a Maturidi. You know? Because the Maturidis are somehow closer. I don't think the Maturidis are closer to I'tizal than the Ash'arites. And I think that it's actually the wrong way of thinking about it. And even things that are seemingly problematic, like the kasb of the Ash'ari, for example, can be re-articulated in a very sensible way. You know? So what I'm trying to say is, let us not be overly defensive. We have a great tradition, we just don't know it enough, and we're not articulating it enough. And I think it is feasible to come up with a contemporary articulation of the Ash'ari Maturidi synthesis. That is what we can call it, okay? Late Ash'ari Maturidi synthesis, with a heavy dosage of tasawwuf as well from the Akbari school, that can be very advanced, ontologically, epistemologically, logically, semiotically, okay? And we can develop theories of language that are based on it. And I commend your attachment to your tradition. This is very important, you know?
Thank you.
But the way tradition is kept alive is like a plant is kept alive. If I love these flowers and I put them in the closet and close the door because I really would like to cherish them, in 3 days' time they will be dead. But if I take them and I plant them in the garden, in the sun, they will grow and they will make more flowers.
Yes, strongly.
We have two ways of dealing with tradition. Repeating everything that we have said in the past, okay, and that's like putting it in the closet, or actually growing it in the sunlight in full engagement with the social sciences, with the physical sciences, with philosophy, and we need to have the courage to do that, to contribute new things, as Professor Tai has been doing in his works, and this is part of this Kalam vision that we have here. Thank you, and sorry for taking so long. I just feel excited about this presentation.
Thank you
very much.